Welcome to The Client Engine, the podcast for founders who want consistent clients, lean systems, and a business that doesn't rely on hustle. In each episode, we explore the tools, automations, and frameworks that help service-based entrepreneurs grow without burning out. If you're ready to stop guessing and start building a smarter client engine, you're in the right place. And here's your host, Sabrina Renée Kinckle.
Welcome back to The Client Engine. I'm Sabrina Renée Kinckle, and this is part 2 of our series From Invisible to In Demand. In the last episode, we laid the foundation. Why proof matters more than noise, how to identify 3 urgent pains, and how to build 4 proof assets that position you as the go-to in your space. If you haven't heard part 1 yet, I recommend pausing this episode, going back, and starting there. Because today, we're going to take it further. You'll learn how to bring your proof to life with 2 mini case notes, how to create 1 soft call to action that feels natural instead of pushy, and how to pull everything together in a 30-day proof calendar. By the end, you'll have a complete system that makes you visible, credible, and in demand. All right, so let's dig in. You've got your urgent pains. You've got your 4 proof assets. At this point, you've built the skeleton of your 30-day proof system, but now we need to put flesh on those bones, and that's where mini case notes come in. Notice I didn't say case studies. Case studies sound corporate, formal, maybe even a little boring, like something a Fortune 500 company would bury in a PDF nobody ever reads. Mini case notes, totally different. They're short, human, story-driven snapshots that make your proof come alive. Think of them as evidence with personality. Why do mini case notes work so well? Because people trust stories more than statistics. You know, you could always say something like, our SEO strategy increased traffic by 112%. And people will nod politely, right? But if you tell a story like a boutique consulting firm came to us invisible on Google, but within 6 weeks of implementing our SEO sprint, they ranked on page 1, and the founder called us personally and said, I just closed a $40,000 client who found us in search. With that, your listener isn't just nodding, they're imagining themselves as that founder. Mini case notes aren't about bragging. They're about showing transformation in a way that your audience can picture themselves. The mini part is important. A case note should feel like a quick anecdote you could share over coffee. And here's a simple formula. Number 1, the setup, who they were and what problem they had. Number 2, the action, what you did together. And number 3, the outcome, what changed because of it. What was the transformation? That's it, 3 parts. No need for a 15-page PDF with charts, footnotes, and executive summaries. Keep it snackable. Let's say you're a coach and one of your urgent pains was, I don't know how to get consistent clients. Your mini case note could sound like this. A client of mine was posting daily on LinkedIn, but hearing crickets, she was ready to give up. We worked together to identify 3 urgent pains her audience actually cared about and built 4 proof assets around those pains. Within 30 days, she booked 5 discovery calls and she messaged me saying, wow, for the first time, people are reaching out to me instead of me chasing them. That's a mini case note. Short, relatable, proof in story form. Here's one from my world. A mid-sized company came to us and said, our website looks good, but it's not generating any leads. And that was their urgent pain. They had a nice amount of traffic, but once people went to the website, they didn't do anything. So we ran them through a web intensive. We rebuilt their homepage around clarity and conversion. We optimized their SEO. And within 60 days, their inbound leads tripled. So the CEO said to me, we used to have to explain who we were on every sales call. Now, prospects show up already knowing our value because they've seen it online. That's a mini case note. It shows the pain, the action, and the outcome. And it's short enough that you could tell it at a networking event without anyone falling asleep. Now, I can hear some of you saying, Sabrina, that's nice, but what if I'm just starting out? I don't have any case studies. And here's the good news. You don't need paying clients to create mini case studies or mini case notes. You just need results, yours or someone else you've helped. So you have a few options if you're brand new. Number one, use your own transformation. If you solved a problem for yourself that your audience also has, that's fair game. So an example could be something like, when I applied this system to my own business, I went from cold outreach to getting 70% of my clients inbound, right? It's a nice example. We saw those a lot during the pandemic when you had a boom of businesses begin right when the pandemic started, right? And we saw a lot of people who talked about how their methods were working for them. It's a really good example. Number two, use free or beta clients. Do the work for free or at a discount in exchange for the mini case note. So here's an example. You could say something like, I worked for a startup founder on a trial basis. In just 3 weeks, we mapped her sales process and she closed 2 deals she'd been chasing for months. A third way to do this is to use as if case notes. And this is where you walk through a hypothetical in story form. So an example could be something like, imagine you're a solo consultant struggling to get leads. You implement this 30-day proof system. Within a month, you've published 4 assets, and now you're getting inbound calls from prospects who already trust you. So here are just a few ways you can do it if you're just starting out. It's not fiction, it's a projection. And when framed clearly, it still builds authority, and that's really what you want to do. Here's the golden rule. Case notes aren't about you. They're about your audience seeing themselves in the story. If all they hear is something about you, like, look how great I am, you've missed the point. If instead, when they hear you, they're thinking, wow, that sounds like me. And if it worked for them, maybe it can work for me too. Then you've done it. You've nailed it. That's what you want. And please, for the love of podcast listeners everywhere, make your case notes human. Don't say, the organization in question achieved significant revenue optimization. No, say, the founder messaged me at 10 p.m. saying, I just had my best month ever, and I can finally pay myself consistently. People remember emotions, not jargon, and that's something that you always want to keep in mind with these mini case notes. You're probably asking, why do I say share 2 mini case notes in this system? And the reason why is because 1 story feels like an exception. 2 stories feel like a pattern, right? 1 makes you look lucky, but talking about 2 makes you look like you have a method. And you don't need 50 case studies. 2 are enough to build momentum and make your proof system believable. Here's how you'll use your 2 mini case notes in practice. Week 2, drop your first case note. Tie it directly to one of your proof assets. And then week 4, drop your second case note. Tie it into a different pane so you cover more ground. Spacing them out gives your audience time to absorb, apply, and start trusting what it is that they're seeing from you. And let me add this. Sometimes people worry their story isn't big enough to share, but honestly, even small wins count. One client told us, I don't know what you did, but my calendar actually has sales calls again. I had to buy a new planner. That's not a headline for the Wall Street Journal, but it's still proof. Remember, the small stories are often the most relatable. I'm going to give you some homework. Here's your assignment. I want you to write down 2 mini case notes using the simple 3-part formula that I mentioned. Remember, we talked about setup, action, and outcome. Second part of the homework is, if you don't have clients, pick 1 personal story and 1 hypothetical. And then the third part is keep them short. If you can't tell it under 2 minutes, trim it. Do that, and you'll have the third pillar of your proof system locked in. So far, we've got 3 urgent pains, 4 proof assets, and now we have 2 mini case notes, okay? And again, if you're wondering, what is she talking about with these 3 urgent pains and proof assets? please go back to the episode before this one because we lay it out for you completely. Okay, so the last step is where it all comes together. This is the soft call to action, because proof without a next step is really just inspiration. Proof with a CTA, though, that's where leads turn into clients. And that's what we'll dive into next. So let's get into your soft call to action. At this point, you've done the heavy lifting, you've uncovered 3 urgent pains, you've built 4 proof assets, you've shared too many case notes that made your listeners nod and think, yeah, that's me, I can relate to that. So now we've come to the final piece, the soft call to action. And yes, the word soft is important because nothing kills authority faster than sounding like the pushy timeshare person who won't let you leave the presentation without signing. The soft call to action works because, think about it, you've just spent 3 weeks showing proof. You've given your audience clarity, small wins, and stories that feel real. They don't need a hard sell. They need a nudge. A soft call to action doesn't scream, buy now or else. It whispers, if this helped, here's the next step. Soft calls to action work because they align with trust, and trust is what you've been building this whole time. So let's talk about what your soft call to action even looks like. It has 3 parts. Number 1, you want to restate the pain. Remind them why they're there. So an example could be something like, if you're tired of spending money on ads that don't bring in clients, and then give them what's next. Number 2, you definitely need to highlight the proof. Connect it to what you've shown. So an example could be you've set it up and then you say something like, and you've seen how these proof assets are already working for others. And then number 3, you want to offer a simple next step, not 5 options, 1. So something like, let's hop on a quick call to see how we can apply this to your business. If we put all of those things together, what that would sound like is something like, if you're tired of spending money on ads that don't bring in clients and you've seen how these proof assets are already working for others, then let's hop on a quick call to see how we can apply this to your business. It's short, it's gentle, and it's effective. So imagine you're a consultant helping companies streamline operations. Your call to action could sound like this. If you've been listening and you realize your team is constantly reinventing the wheel, and you've seen how one simple process change saved a client 10 hours a week, then let's talk. Book a free strategy session with me and we'll find one process in your business that you can streamline this month. Notice the vibe. It's not desperate, it's confident. It says, here's the value. If you want more, here's the door, right? So here's how we frame it at our company, at Kelbury Consulting. After a web intensive, when we've rebuilt someone's brand and website, prospects often ask, so, do you also help with ongoing marketing? And our soft call to action is, if you're realizing your website needs to work harder for you and you liked the clarity of this web intensive, let's talk about ongoing SEO or campaigns. That way, your site doesn't just look good, it keeps generating leads. See, so no pressure, no discounts, just proof, followed by an invitation. Now, let's laugh a little at a common mistake, turning the call to action into a TED Talk. I've seen people give a whole extra 10 minutes of explanation, 5 different links, and a mini rant about their offers. By the end, the listener has forgotten the proof and only remembers the confusion. Here's the rule. Your call to action should be so simple that you could say it while walking out of the door. Something like, if this resonated, here's the next step. Done. And you don't need to save your call to action for the very end. In fact, soft calls to action work beautifully sprinkled throughout your content. So for example, end of a proof asset post, you could put something like, if this checklist helped, and you want me to review your site personally, book a call. Or after a mini case note, you could say something like, if you want results like this, DM me the word proof and we'll chat. By the time you reach the 30-day mark, your audience has heard your call to action multiple times in a natural way. No surprises. And here are a few ways to phrase it depending on your style, right? Because everyone's style is different. So you want to be true to who you are because it's going to work the best. It's going to sound authentic. So if you're more direct, you can do the direct invite. If this resonated, let's book a quick call. Maybe the resource drop would be better for you. Want the full framework? Grab it here. Or maybe the DM prompt. If you want to try this, DM me the word ready. Or maybe the low commitment offer. Curious how this would look in your business? Let's brainstorm in 15 minutes. And I would say pick one that matches your audience's comfort level, and you can play with all 4 of them and see what happens. These are good for you to try these different areas. And here's a quick rule of thumb. 80% proof, 20% call to action. If every post, every story, every email screams call to action, people tune out. But if you're leading with proof most of the time, then your soft call to action feels like the obvious next step instead of a sales ambush. So nobody likes being pitched to death. If you've ever gone to a timeshare presentation, you know the pain. You went in for the free weekend at the resort. 6 hours later, you're trapped in a room with someone saying, but what if I told you we could upgrade you to the deluxe plan? Don't be that person. Be the person who shares proof generously and then says, if you want more, here's how. Your audience will thank you and they'll actually follow through. So I have some more homework for you. Here's the assignment. Write one soft call to action for each of your 3 urgent pains. Keep them short, clear, and natural. So as an example, for pain, my ads aren't working. The soft call to action could be something like, if you're tired of throwing money at ads that don't convert, let's hop on a call and audit your funnel. Do that, and you'll have calls to action ready to weave into your 30-day calendar. So now let's put it all together. 3 pains, 4 proof assets, 2 mini case notes, 1 soft call to action. That's your 30-day proof system. And in this next section, I'll show you exactly how to map those into a calendar you can follow step by step. So you don't just nod along, you actually implement it. So hopefully you've been taking good notes. We're going to dive into turning this into a 30-day calendar. And here's where most people get stuck. They hear 3 pains, 4 proof assets, 2 case notes, 1 call to action, and they think, great, but how do I actually use all of that without turning into a 24/7 content machine? Because let's be real, you didn't start your business to become a full-time unpaid intern for LinkedIn or Instagram. You started it to help people make money, maybe even get a weekend off once in a while. And that's why this final step of the proof system is to map everything into a simple 30-day calendar, not a publish 50 times a day nightmare, a clear, steady rhythm you can stick to, and that your audience can actually follow. Here's the big idea. Every week for 4 weeks, you'll publish 1 main proof piece tied to a pain, 1 supporting piece, and 1 soft call to action. That's it. 3 touches a week, totally doable. So by the end of 30 days, your audience won't just know who you are, they'll trust you because they've seen your proof play out in real time. Let's do kind of a week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4 breakdown. So let's get into week 1. Week 1, we'll call that the foundation. So on day 1, you would publish your proof asset, a quick win guide tied to pain point number 1 could be it, right? An example could be something like 3 mistakes draining your ads budget and how to fix them in 10 minutes. On day 3, so say we're doing this Monday, Wednesday, Friday, day 3 on Wednesday, drop a simple post expanding on pain number 1. Make it conversational. Something like, ever feel like you're donating to Facebook instead of running ads? You're not alone. And then build your quick post and story. Then that Friday, day 5, add a soft call to action tied to pain number 1. So an example could be something like, if you're tired of ads draining your budget, let's hop on a call and audit your funnel. Boom. By the end of week 1, you've already given value, proven your expertise, and offered a clear next step. Now let's get to week number 2. Day 1, you want to publish proof asset number 2. And this could be a before and after transformation tied to pain number 2. So an example could be the before was 15 calls a week, 7 conversions. After, 7 calls, 5 conversions. Then on Wednesday, day number 3, share mini case note number 1. Keep it snackable. An example could be a client came to me exhausted, working 60 hours a week. Within a month of applying this system, she had her first $10,000 month without adding hours. Then on Friday, day number 5, drop your soft call to action again in story form. So an example could be something like, if you want results like this, DM me the word ready and I'll share the system we used. So now you're not just showing proof, you're telling stories, and humans stick around for stories. Stories, they're what we remember. All right, so now we have weeks 1 and 2 down for your 30-day calendar. Let's get to number 3. Week 3, we're going to call this the pull back the curtain week. So day 1 of week 3, we're going to say it's Monday. Publish proof asset number 3, a process snapshot tied to pain number 3. So an example could be, here's my 5-step framework for writing subject lines that actually get opened. Now on day 3, Wednesday, you'll share a behind the scenes post. Show how you actually use the process. An example could be a screenshot of your own subject line brainstorm or step in your SEO workflow. Now that Friday on day 5, add your soft call to action in the context of want help implementing this? And this will help with getting people to respond, very much so. This week builds intimacy. You're not just the expert on the stage. You're the guide pulling back the curtain and saying, here's how it really works. And because this is week 3 and they've been seeing all of this great stuff from you the first couple of weeks, now you're probably finally starting to get people's attention if you weren't in the past, okay? So now we're in week 4. This one I like to refer to as anchor with proof. All right, so day 1 of week 4, Monday, you're going to publish proof asset number 4. What works really well is if this is a visual proof piece. So an example could be a chart showing before and after website traffic, or a side-by-side website redesign, right? Day 3 could be sharing that mini case note number 2. And you want to tie it to a different pain than the first one. So an example could be a founder came to us saying nobody knew their company. After 60 days of publishing proof assets, they doubled inbound leads and started hearing, we've been following your content. Okay? So now day 5, that Friday, end with your strongest soft call to action. This time, make it clear what the next step is. So an example could be, if you followed this 30-day proof series and you're ready to create one for your business, let's talk. Book a strategy call here. By the end of week 4, you've taken your audience on a journey. Pains, proof, stories, invitation. And you didn't need 200 posts or a viral dance trend to do it. Here's why this calendar works so well. Number 1, it's consistent without being overwhelming. 3 touches a week is enough to build momentum without burning you out. You can even schedule all of this beforehand. Number 2, it's structured. You're not waking up every morning thinking, oh God, what do I post today? You've got a clear plan. Number 3, it's layered. Each week builds on the last. Quick wins, followed by stories, followed by behind the scenes, followed by visual proof. And by the end, your audience has a 360-degree view of your authority. Number 4, it's human. You're not blasting out faceless content. You're showing real proof, real stories, real results. Let's be honest. Most content calendars people build are doomed from the start. They look like color-coded spreadsheets made with someone who clearly hates joy. I once saw a calendar with 7 posts a day. That's not a content plan. That's a cry for help. Your 30-day plan system isn't about volume. It's about rhythm. 3 meaningful touches a week tied to proof is more powerful than 50 random posts nobody remembers. And here's what actually happens when you follow this 30-day system. Week 1, you get polite likes and maybe a DM or 2. Week 2, someone will comment, that's exactly what I needed. Thanks for posting that. Number 3, a warm lead will say, hey, I've been following your post. Can we talk? And week 4, you'll have at least one person in your DMs saying, okay, how do we work together? Because proof creates momentum. And once it's rolling, it doesn't stop. So, okay, more homework. Your assignment, build your own 30-day proof calendar. Write down your 3 pains. Choose 4 proof assets you can create. Draft 2 mini case notes. Write 1 soft call to action. And then plug them into this 4-week rhythm. Then commit, not forever, not for a year, just for 30 days. Because here's the truth. If you can stick with this for 30 days, you'll stop feeling invisible. People will know who you are. More importantly, they'll know what you can do. So that's your system. 3 urgent pains, 4 proof assets, 2 mini case notes, 1 soft call to action, and a 30-day calendar that brings it all to life. And in this final section, I'm just going to wrap it up by recapping a bit and really just giving you some encouragement to take action, because none of this works if you don't do the work, right? We share and look at so much information all the time that very often we leave things hanging. We do. We believe that, that sounds like a really good idea. I'll work on that. I'll do that. And it becomes something that very quickly goes to the background. And before you know it, another month has passed, another 3 months have passed, another year has passed. So let's bring it all together. We've covered a lot in this episode, and I'll recap in plain English, the kind you can jot down on a napkin at your favorite coffee shop. So, number 1, 3 urgent pains. Because people don't buy someday solutions, they buy aspirin for the headaches that keep them up at night. If you can name their headache better than they can, they'll trust you to have the cure. Number 2, 4 proof assets. Your 4 proof assets are your little billboards of credibility, quick wins, before and afters, process snapshots, visuals. They're not about being fancy, they're about being useful. Number 3, 2 mini case notes. Short, human stories that prove your system works. Keep them coffee conversation length. Setup, action, outcome, done. Number 4, 1 soft call to action. It's that whisper that says, if this helps, or if this has helped, here's the next step. No shouting, no desperation, just proof followed by invitation. And finally, your 30-day calendar. This is the rhythm that ties it all together. 3 touches a week, proof, story, behind the scenes, call to action. 4 weeks later, you're not invisible anymore. You're trusted, you're in demand. That's the system. 3 + 4 + 2 + 1 equals visible, credible, in demand. And let me be real with you. Most entrepreneurs don't fail because they're bad at what they do. They fail because nobody knows they exist. And that invisibility creates a dangerous spiral. You start doubting yourself. You lower your prices. You take clients who drain your energy. You chase leads like you're running after the last bus of the night. But when you publish proof, the spiral flips. You build confidence. You attract better clients. You charge what you're worth. You stop chasing, and you actually get a chance to start choosing. Proof is the difference between hustling in the shadows and being recognized as the go-to in your space. Now let's add a little humor because we all need it. If you think you can skip this and just keep posting random inspirational quotes like Mondays are for hustlers, I hate to break it to you, but nobody's hiring you because of your Canvas skills. If you think you can buy 50,000 followers and suddenly become credible, all you've got is a really large network, and you might as well just walk into the middle of a busy shopping center. It doesn't matter if there are a bunch of people there. So you have to find a way to get in front of them, but also for them to see you as trustworthy, for them to see you as credible, and for you to develop an interest in what it is that you provide. Here's the thing. Once you complete your first 30-day proof cycle, something shifts. At first, it feels like you're talking into the void. Week one, you get those polite likes, maybe from your cousin or from some of your old high school friends. Week two, a friend from college might comment, "Hey, great post." And you probably start wondering if it's even working, right? But then week three hits. Someone in your target audience actually says, "Hey, I've been following these posts and I think we should talk." And then by week four, you've got warm leads coming in. Not because you begged, not because you chased, but because you proved. That's when the momentum kicks in. And once it starts, it compounds. Let me warn you against the number one trap that I see, overthinking. Some of you are already planning a 6-month content strategy with a color-coded spreadsheet and debating fonts for your PDF guide. Stop. Remember this, proof doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be published. Your audience doesn't need a masterpiece. They need clarity. They need to see you solving problems like the ones they have right now. So don't let perfection slow you down. Pick your 3 pains, create your 4 assets, draft your 2 mini case notes, write 1 soft call to action, plug it into the calendar, and start. So here's my challenge to you. Run this system for 30 days. Not forever, just 1 month. And at the end of 30 days, ask yourself, did I feel less invisible? Did I see more engagement? Did someone reach out? Did I feel more confident presenting my expertise? If the answer to any of those is yes, congratulations. You've just proven that proof works. Now, before we wrap, I want to share one last story from our side, from Kelbury Consulting. We worked with a founder who was convinced they needed a viral video campaign. We need to blow up, they said. But what they actually needed was proof. So instead of chasing viral fame, we built a 30-day calendar showing exactly how their solution solved 3 urgent pains. The results? Within a month, they had 2 inbound leads that turned into paying clients. Not millions of views, just 2 clients, but those clients changed their cash flow. That's the magic of proof. It doesn't take millions, sometimes it just takes 1. So here's my encouragement to you. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting until you have the perfect branding. Stop waiting until you've hired a videographer, a copywriter, and a social media intern. You can start proving your value today. And once you do, you will realize you were never invisible. You were just waiting to show up in the right way. Because clients don't need you to be the loudest. They need you to be the clearest. They don't need you to have the biggest following. They need you to have the best proof. And that's what this 30-day system gives you. So if you've been listening to this and thinking, yes, I need a proof system like this in my business, here's my soft call to action. If you want help building your own 30-day proof calendar, that's exactly what we do in our web intensives. We build the assets, the strategy, the system, so you can stop chasing and start attracting. And if that sounds like something you need, let's talk. You can reach out directly at kelbreconsulting.com or just connect with me on LinkedIn. No pressure, no timeshare pitch, just an invitation. So that wraps up part 2 of From Invisible to In Demand. You now have the full 30-day proof system, 3 urgent pains, 4 proof facets, 2 mini case notes, 1 soft call to action, and a simple calendar to tie it all together. The only thing left is for you to put it into practice. Remember, proof beats noise every single time. You don't need a million followers. You don't need to be the loudest in the room. You just need to show up consistently with clear proof that you solve real problems. So remember, authority isn't bought, it's proven. And in 30 days, you can go from invisible to in demand, not by being louder, but by being clear. So, okay, I can't wait to see what you create. Until next time, keep showing up, keep proving your value, and keep building your client engine.
Thank you for listening to The Client Engine. If you're ready to take the next step and join our community of founders building sustainable growth systems, go to kelbreconsulting.com. That's KELBREE consulting.com. And if this episode helped you, follow the show, share it with someone who needs it, or leave a quick review. Your next client engine starts here.